Entering last season, Craig, you were talking about the NCAA tournament.
Right.
To fall short of that, fall short of the NIT, and then finish 500, clearly disappointment. How would you characterize last season?
You know, I'd characterize it as disappointing because we set very lofty goals and wanted to get as close as we could to them, if not achieve them. You know, I'm not one to make excuses, but, you know, given the fact that we didn't make those tournaments, we had a lot of success that I was pleased about and were able to build upon. A couple of those things that, you know, our RPI was the highest that it's been since I've been here, certainly, and normally would have qualified us for the NIT if there hadn't been so many automatic qualifiers. So I try and remind our guys of that. That was a big one. We had some really good wins in conference that were noteworthy. You know, I'll point to UCLA, and I really liked the way we played Arizona at home, even though we didn't win that game. So there's some things you want to point to, but you know, Stephen, in this business, you have to get to the NCAA tournament. That's the hallowed ground.
You said you feel like the program, you're moving the needle in the right direction, that you are taking steps forward. Are those steps been smaller than you expected?
You know, I thought this past season, had we not been without Eric for 12 games, it would have been the perfect, we'd be talking about this story in a different way. So I would say if not for the Eric suspension, the steps were pretty much like I thought they'd be. Maybe a year later, having lost Jared and Angus for a season that we could have had them. But, you know, when you're rebuilding a program, it takes time. You know, I've known that since I took the job, and we're just trying to stick with our plan and keep things going in the right direction.
Bob DeCarlis talked about that plan in his letter of support, the 4 goals, playing in the NCAA tournament, winning a Pac-12 championship, competing with integrity, and then also putting your students in the best place to succeed off the basketball court. Now, I don't think anybody would argue that you've done the last 2. How is the plan moving forward different in years past to get the first 2 goals, Pac-12 title and the NCAA tournament?
Well, you know, this would be a time where when you lose a group of seniors, you're sort of rebuilding. And what we've got to do is restock rather than rebuild. And we're in a better place than we were the first year we had a big recruiting class. We're at a much higher level than we were. So in spite of all the negativity, we've been able to get some good recruits very interested in our program. And the jumping off point is going to be much higher. So I may be the ultimate optimist, but you know, I like the position we're in. I like the guys we have coming in.
After the last game, you said, if I get fired, it's been nice knowing you guys. Did you think that you were going to get fired?
No. That was clearly made because I have a pretty decent relationship with you, and the other guys in the room took that a little bit less tongue-in-cheek, but no, I wasn't planning on it. Didn't feel like that was the case. In hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have said it even jokingly, because the way the world works today, anything you say is sort of fodder for anyone. So, but you know, it wasn't big to me. It wasn't big to Bob DeCarlis. I feel very good about this place. We like being here. We want to get this job done. And believe me, the market dictates what happens. So if we're not winning enough, there'll be a change.
You see the newspaper articles, the columns, the message boards, the online polls. How much attention do you pay to that, and how much does it bother you?
That's a good question, because I don't see it, because I don't focus on it. So and the reason I don't do that is because we've got work to do. Anybody who's not in this with us isn't with us. And I don't think there are many people outside of yourselves and some of the people who cover us who are around us enough to see what we're doing every day. So listening to those folks is it's not on my agenda. So it really doesn't bother me. I hear it from my friends who are worried about me, and I hear it from family who's worried about me, but you know, they all understand that I absolutely love what I'm doing. and have been successful in the past and plan on being successful in the future. So I really feel like that kind of stuff is just part of the noise that comes along with the job.
One of your friends and family members, the president, whenever you guys go out there, part of his message to the team is win some games, because I don't have time to worry about my brother-in-law. With all that happened this past season, what was the conversations like with him? Was he worried about you?
Well, I won't know. I'm going out to see him for Easter, so I'm gonna tell him that he need not worry about me. Just worry about all the things he has to worry about. But you know, he more than anyone understands criticism, no matter what happens with what you do on a job. So, you know, I'll let him worry about the more important stuff.
Your players, they support what you've done and feel like you feel that the program is moving in the right direction. But when you see support kind of waning and knowing that that criticism is out there, who do you confide in? How do you deal with those emotions that come with that?
A lot of it comes from being grounded within my family. I mean, you know, my wife and I are very close, and as long as my family feels secure, I feel pretty good. And, you know, I've got a wonderful wife. She understands this business and knows how hard it is and how hard the negativity can be at times. So she's my number one confidant. And then I've got friends who are in the business who, you know, most of the guys in this business have hard jobs. So you know, if I really want to cry on somebody's shoulder, I'll, you know, misery loves company type situation. And then, you know, a real big part of my support system is my staff here. I give them a lot of responsibility and a lot of voice in what goes on here. So as long as we're all feeling like we're heading in the direction that we want to do, we are together in this, and it makes us feel good, and it's a more of us against them, and sometimes it's a good motivator.
One of the quotes from last season that you had that sticks with me: "There's no goal watched anymore for being a good dude and graduating players."
Did I say that out loud?
Is it a harsh reality to deal with in your business?
It isn't, because part of the reason why I got in this business was, you know, I enjoyed my time as a player and as a son so much that I thought the good things that I could take from that experience, those experiences, I could share with guys, younger people, as well as have fun coaching basketball and teaching the game, as well as teaching life lessons. So, you know, it's not discouraging or demoralizing to me that life is this way. I mean, let's face it, Stephen, when I was working in corporate America, if you didn't hit your bottom line, you got fired there too. And actually, sometimes you got fired quicker because there were no contracts. So, and this is a brilliant way to send a message to my players how to handle adversity. I mean, you know, we're going through adversity every day when we're trying to figure out what we're doing to play against the Arizonas of the world or the Marylands of the world, and they can learn from what we're going through.
Ultimately, it comes down to winning more basketball games. Mm-hmm. What's in your plan for this next season and moving forward to help you do that?
You know, you know, when we first got here, we wanted to debunk the notion that we played slow. The Princeton offense is slow. We played like girls, that kind of thing. And I think from an X's and O's standpoint, we've shown we can score. Now we have to get back to the nuts and bolts of guarding. I thought that's where we came up short this season. And I won't make any excuses like Eric being out. I mean, we just needed to be better defensively 4 or 5 times a game, and some of those closer games would have flipped over to wins. So our plan this summer and this fall and preseason is to become a much better defensive team to go along with the offense that we can generate.
Do you foresee a change in maybe defensive philosophy? Because you're losing 4 of your top 6 rotations, so that might change up how you have to play defense.
And you know what? You know me, I wouldn't dodge a question, but I won't know until I see. We've got 4 recruits coming in, and I want to see how they can sort of fill in. So I don't think I'm going to change the philosophy. We're just going to change the execution part of it.
This is a whole new deal for you, because you're losing Roberto Nelson, Angus Brandt, Devon Collier, Eric Moreland, 4 of your top 6 players, your top 4 scorers, whole new blood.
But if you remember, our best record here at Oregon State was with guys we inherited who had gone over. So we know we can coach. We know we can coach with less. Now our recruits, I think, are a tad bit better than they were even when we got the Jareds and the Robertos. I mean, we're at a different level with some of these guys. So it'll be interesting to see. And you're right. You're absolutely right. It's not easy, and I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that we're not starting off as bad as we had started off.
Has it hit you yet that you're going to be without somebody like Berto?
Yeah, oh yeah. We've kind of been talking about this and planning for it. You know, every day when you look at a film and he does something that you know only he could do, like dribble right and pull up on that three-pointer in overtime to win the Arizona State game or to take us ahead, you think, okay, you don't have somebody who can do that. But then you realize you've got a young guy in Malcolm DeVivier who can cut back door within our offense, go up and dunk the ball like he did against Utah.
I think a lot of people, a lot of fans who pay attention to this program are excited to see what Hallis Cook does in his development. What are you most excited about for next season?
You know, I'm so excited about everyone, because everybody's going to have to step up. It's not just going to be one player. You know, Shea Njai didn't get much playing time in the conference. He's going to have to really step up and be a force for us, both offensively and defensively. I mean, you know, I just look at everybody that we have to have coming back. I mean, you know, both at all 3 positions, we're going to have somebody say, all right, I'll be the one to step forward.
When you look at maybe the fan support towards the end of the season, it might look like there's a wedge coming in between the program and the rest of Beaver Nation. How do you bridge that gap?
You know, I wouldn't necessarily agree with you on that. I think that there are a lot of fans who are still very much a part of this program. And, you know, before I say there's a wedge between us and the fans, you have to really pay attention to, you know, what television has done, what having games has done, every game on TV at times that make it hard for some of the fans to come, before I would say that there's been a wedge driven in between the fans and us. But let's say you're right. We win them back like we did when we first got here. We play hard. We have a fun product to watch. Play a little bit better defense. Win a few games. They'll be back. For you, from this past season and in these 6 years, what do you feel is going to be different about you next year? You know, that's hard to say, because I don't want to put myself in a box, nor do I want to put my players in a box, because I always think that I'm always evolving. I mean, you know, during the off season, we all do a lot of introspective stuff as well as, you know, external stuff. I mean, we visit other programs, we visit our friends who are coaches, we talk about basketball, we talk about recruiting, we talk about different things. So I always like to think of myself as ever evolving. And I want to make sure that I keep an open mind to whatever's coming our way going forward, because, you know, this isn't a place where you can decide what's going to happen tomorrow, because there's always things changing. I mean, you know, we almost didn't do this interview because of the gas leak, so but we were light on our toes.